The Eagles just had their first preseason game, and huge changes could be coming as a result, as despite the fact that they won, it's pretty clear that the Birds still have a couple problems that absolutely need to be solved, so what could they do to fix it? Meanwhile, several Eagles made a statement in the preseason opener, none more than backup quarterback Tanner McKee, as he absolutely shredded the Bengals defense, while several backup wide receivers made a name for themselves, and the rookie Jihaad Campbell flashed as well. And that's not all, so we're going to talk about that and everything else from the Eagles' preseason win over the Bengals starting right now. Alright, so after a long wait, Eagles football is finally back, as like I said, the Birds opened the preseason by taking on the Cincinnati Bengals at home on Thursday night, and while there were a ton of exciting storylines and takeaways, which we'll get to in just a minute, we unfortunately did not get to see the starters play, which, let's be real, I mean, that's not any sort of surprise at this point, considering that during the now 5-year Nick Sirianni era, the starters, especially on offense, typically do not play in the preseason, and of course, there are exceptions to that, but this year was not one of them. Although, we did get to see the offensive starters during pregame warmups, which was cool, and it was also cool to see backup quarterback Tanner McKee lead the pregame huddle with a nice speech. But the best part is when you look in the background and see none other than QB1 Jalen Hurts looking like a proud dad back there. I mean, how can you not love that? Speaking of which, it was the Super Bowl MVP's 27th birthday on Thursday, so shout out to him. But again, he and most of the rest of the Eagles starters did not play. It was a completely different story for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, though, as he and the starters did actually play. And on their first offensive drive, they wasted no time showing the Birds' backup defense just how explosive they can be, as they drove right down the field on an impressive opening drive that included a couple big catches by Ja'Marr Chase, one of which was just an absolutely insane toe-tapping grab on the sideline, and it eventually culminated in a score for Cincinnati as tight end Tanner Hudson caught a pass and pushed through rookie linebacker Smile Munnin Jr. to get into the end zone, giving the Bengals the early lead. And then again, on their next drive, Joe Burrow and the Bengals reached the end zone, this time by way of a Ja'Marr Chase catch and run, as he beat Kelee Ringo on an out route, and then made a hard cut to make a miss and ran it all the way in for the score. And while on one hand, you could probably just chalk this up to Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, and the Bengals starting offense being really good, on the other hand, though, you, or at least I, can't help but worry a little bit about the Eagles' current situation at cornerback after what I just watched. I mean, I'm sorry. Again, I know it's Joe Burrow, I know it's Ja'Marr Chase, and I know it's only one game of the preseason, but the Eagles' starting corners, those being Kelee Ringo and Adoree Jackson, just did not look good at all during this game, and that's concerning because so far during camp, it's obviously been those two battling it out for the starting cornerback job opposite Quinyon Mitchell. And you guys know what side I've been on all camp long. I mean, my hope has been that Kelee Ringo would stand out and really separate himself from Adoree Jackson and just prove that he's ready to be a quality starter in this league, because there's no debating that he has the athletic tools and the potential to do just that. Now, from what we've heard, Jackson has had his moments in camp, but he's also been rather inconsistent, and his performance against the Bengals didn't exactly make me feel much better about where he's at, as he allowed 4 catches on 5 targets for 45 yards, and the only incompletion happened because the Bengals player dropped the ball. So all in all, definitely a concerning performance for Adoree Jackson. Unfortunately, though, for Kelee Ringo, it was even worse, as he allowed 4 catches on 4 targets for 79 yards and a touchdown, that obviously being the catch and run by Chase, where he just had a completely inexcusable, horrible missed tackle. So again, I don't want to overreact, but I can't say that my confidence in Kelee Ringo is super high right now, even after Nick Sirianni tried to do a bit of damage control after the game.
You evaluate everything. Keelee's done a nice job in practice to date, and he's made a lot of plays in practice, today. We'd like to see those guys complete those outs on a lot of, I see them make a lot of those plays. Ja'Marr Chase is, one of the better receivers in the NFL. Just, we got to make that tackle there in that situation and stop that play for a 16-yard gain instead of it going out there. But he's done a lot of good things, and everything, we evaluate everything, right? It's not just a one game deal. And I have no doubt that he'll look at the tape, we'll look at the tape, and he'll get better from that.
Look, I'm sure Kelee Ringo has made his fair share of nice plays during training camp, and maybe what he needs is just more time and more actual live in-game reps. And look, I really don't want to be all negative. Like, at the end of the day, I'm rooting for Ringo, and it's just one preseason game versus one of the best receivers in the league. But again, I can't say I'm very encouraged by what I saw from him or Adoree Jackson in this game, and it makes you think that maybe the Eagles could look to make a big change at that cornerback spot. And that could come in multiple different forms. I mean, for example, the Eagles obviously just traded for Jakorian Bennett from the Raiders to help out at the cornerback position, and after seeing how Ringo and Jackson played, you just can't help but wonder if Bennett is ultimately the best option the Birds currently have to start opposite Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, yes, he's obviously got a lot to learn and a lot to adjust to given that he just got traded here a few days ago, and he really doesn't have a ton of starting experience, but on the contrary, he has played more than Kelee Ringo, and as I said in my last video, Bennett has a lot of talent and ability. I mean, he's super athletic, he's fast, and he can be very sticky in coverage, which he proved back during his time with the Raiders, judging by some of these numbers. So again, after watching the first preseason game, you gotta wonder how much of a chance Jakorian Bennett does have to win the starting job, and whether or not he would be the best option to do it. And then, of course, there's also the possibility of the Eagles potentially making another move to bring somebody in, whether that's via trade or free agency. And obviously, the prime candidate who everybody goes to right away is Asante Samuel Jr., who I've talked about here before on this channel. So, I think he's a good option if they want to go that route. And then, when it comes to the safety position, obviously the prime candidate there that's still sitting in free agency is Justin Simmons. And after the Eagles preseason opener, some people are saying that they might need to go out and sign him as well, as the Birds' current lead candidate to start at safety next to Reed Blankenship in Sidney Brown just unfortunately suffered some sort of shoulder injury in this game, that coming on a play where he laid a hard hit on a Bengals ball carrier, and he just came in a little too out of control with his head and shoulder down. So he left the game after that happened in the second quarter, and he didn't return. And it sucks because up until that point, I actually think Sid was playing really pretty well. I mean, to me, he was one of the standouts on defense from that first half, just with the way he was flying around out there, getting to the ball carrier, and bringing that energy and aggression that is just so valuable at the safety position. But unfortunately, that same energy and aggression and 100-mile-per-hour attitude is also what got him injured. And that's the main problem with Sidney Brown, right? It's just that he can't seem to slow down for his own good. Now, right now, I don't know the severity of Brown's injury as I record this video, so it very well may be not that bad. And I still do have high hopes for him and think he can come back and win the starting job. I mean, again, he was playing well in this game, in my opinion, but he's just got to learn to slow down so he can both avoid mistakes and also avoid injuries. Speaking of which, though, as much as I hope Jalen Hurts can avoid injuries this year, if he does have to miss a game or two, I'm still going to feel very confident in who the Eagles got under center, and that is none other than the Mormon missile Tanner McKee. As the backup QB is one of many Eagles who made a statement in the preseason opener against the Bengals, but nobody was more impressive than McKee. I mean, just like Joe Burrow and the Bengals started off, McKee and the Birds started off hot, as they went right down the field and scored a touchdown on their opening drive. Now, a huge reason for that was because of a big run by Will Shipley that really got things going. And also, huge shout out to the right guard Tyler Steen for getting a key block to spring him free. I mean, at this point, it really does seem like that right guard job is his to lose. But getting back to that opening drive, McKee was amazing too, as he connected with Jahan Dotson twice, both of which went for first downs. And McKee himself eventually ended up capping off the drive with a rushing touchdown in epic fashion, as he brotherly shoved his way into the end zone on fourth down. And that was just the start of what was an absolutely incredible night for Tanner McKee, as he just kept making play after play, throw after throw, read after read, and the Eagles' offense was on a roll because of it. As led by McKee, the offense put up 27 points by the time QB2 came out after the first drive of the third quarter, and the ball was spread all around to multiple different receivers. And overall, McKee finished the game 20 for 25 on his throws, with most of his incompletions coming on throwaways or drops, while he also had 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown, and a QB rating of 135.3. I mean, if that doesn't impress you, then I don't know what will.
But pretty good.
But a little bit more as far as what he did well.
He played good. No, he did a lot of good things. Went to the right place with the football, was accurate. Ran, had really good operation. Him and Kevin, a lot of communication, and Scott. He did a really nice job.
Again, if McKee does have to play this season for whatever reason, then I'm going to be extremely confident in his ability to get the job done. And also, quick side note, he certainly proved Madden wrong for their rating of him in this game as well.
Whoa! Madden, Come on, man.
Hey, prove him wrong
For a while.
Thursday.
Yeah, all right. Watch Thursday. Tune in. Be ready.
Now, the other thing to consider with McKee performing this well pretty much in every single opportunity he's given by the Eagles is the possibility that a quarterback-needy team such as the Kellen Moore-led Saints, for example, could possibly call the Birds up in hopes of acquiring him in a trade. And on one hand, I absolutely do not want to part with Tanner McKee. I mean, again, I think he's one of the best backups in the league, and if Jalen Hurts goes down, there is no one I'd feel more confident in than Tanner McKee to step up in his place. But, on the other hand, McKee's trade value might be sky high right now, and there's a chance that the Eagles could get an offer for him that they just can't refuse. So, we'll see what happens. Personally, I do think McKee will stick around, at least for this year, and then maybe he gets traded next offseason, since then he'll only have 1 year left on his deal. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Moving on though, McKee wasn't the only Eagle who showed out in this game, and specifically, quite a few of the backup receivers really helped their stock with their performance, with the first of those being the second-year man Johnny Wilson, as he ended up having 3 catches for 73 yards in this contest, 2 of which were very impressive contested catches on jump balls, and 1 of which was a nice back shoulder fade on 3rd down. And after a season where, sure, he did contribute as a blocker and on special teams, but also struggled to catch the ball at times, it was definitely very good to see Wilson produce here and even win a few of those jump balls that you would expect from a 6'6" wide receiver. And it was also good to see Wilson's draft mate in Anaya Smith make a couple plays as well, as he caught a touchdown pass from Tanner McKee at one point over the middle, and he also had a phenomenal 46-yard punt return to set the Eagles up in scoring position at the end of the first half. So all in all, it was definitely a good day for those two, and they definitely helped their stock in this one. But perhaps nobody helped their stock more than undrafted wide receiver Darius Cooper, as the rookie out of Tarleton State of all places absolutely balled out versus the Bengals defense, as he ended up leading the game with 6 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown, which came on a go ball from Tanner McKee to end off the first half. And after the game, Cooper talked about his performance and showed off the humble attitude that likely made it all possible.
Darius Cooper, graduated from Tarleton State University, originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and it's just a blessing to be here.
And, was this any, I'm going to say surprise, but, do you feel like what you've done in camp, this was an example, this was kind of just showing?
Most definitely. This is a great organization to be introduced to as a first time being in the league. Because you work so hard at the details and the small things, and when you put the work in at practice, you come out, you go out with your brothers, and everybody's on the same page, and it just makes the game easier. So it was definitely a great experience to be out there playing with this team and just executing how we did today. So,
Can you take us through that 20-yard touchdown catch you had from McKee? Just take us through.
Tanner McKee, he made a great call. He told me to run a go ball. He threw it up, put it in the perfect spot. The line held up for him. You can't be great without the greatness of others. So the line held up for him. He put the ball there, and we scored.
I mean, listening to him talk, how can you not love this guy? And again, he definitely helped his stock tremendously with this showing, and I'd say he definitely has a real chance of making the roster, or at least the practice squad. I mean, I'm certainly rooting for him. Unfortunately, though, part of the reason that he could still make it is because training camp standout wide receiver Elijah Cooks was unfortunately carted off the field with some sort of shoulder injury. Hopefully, it's not that serious, but it's never good when somebody takes the card in. Speaking of which, offensive lineman Kenyon Green was also carted off with a wrist injury, so that's definitely very unfortunate as well. But moving on to some other standouts from the game, the first-round rookie Jihaad Campbell definitely did flash some of his potential, as he consistently found himself around the ball, and he had 3 tackles in very limited playing time. Plus, he also had a dropped interception that he definitely should have had, but still, it was a good night for the rookie. Speaking of which, though, the game's leading tackler with 6 in Jeremiah Trotter Jr. had a dropped pick as well, and cornerback Eli Ricks also had a dropped pick 6, along with the pass breakup. So, on one hand, those guys definitely got to make those plays, but it was nice to see them just getting around the ball. And I'd say, out of all the cornerbacks, Eli Ricks is definitely the one who helped his stock the most in this game. And then moving on, the rookie defensive tackle Ty Robinson flashed some of his potential, as he got multiple pressures, and he even sacked Jake Browning at one point, so that was definitely awesome to see. And then also, staying with the defensive line, Patrick Johnson at one point had a sack that was taken away by a penalty, so he turned right around and intercepted a screen pass, which eventually led to a touchdown. So shout out to him as well. He definitely helped his stock too in this game. And overall, it was definitely an eventful first preseason game for the Birds. I mean, again, there were plenty of standouts. The offense run by Kevin Patullo looked very good, so credit to him for that. Definitely a good sign there. And while the defense didn't start off very strong against the Bengals starters, they had their moments as well. And of course, even though it doesn't really matter at all, the Birds got the win 34-27, so that's always good. But all that said, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, so give me all your takeaways from the Eagles' preseason win over the Bengals down in the comments below. And also, we got a big week of Eagles training camp coming up. They got a couple joint practices coming with the Cleveland Browns on Wednesday and Thursday, so you guys know I'm going to be covering everything this week and also throughout the rest of training camp, preseason, and of course going into the regular season. So if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications. And also drop a like down below on this video to show some support if you did enjoy it, because it really does help me out a ton, guys. See if we can get to at least 500 likes on today's video. And if you want to watch another video going over some other news from Eagles training camp, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.